We're the only faculty in Ontario that combines traditional liberal arts with professional studies. Here, you can combine any number of programs as double majors or majors and minors. Interested in philosophy and administrative studies? You can do that here.
Nowhere else in the GTA can you find a more diverse and inclusive faculty. LANPS's culture is varied and vibrant. Our students are engaged in important equity work and community engagement.
The opportunities for academic and personal growth are unmatched at LANPS. As an international student, I have found a home among my peers. I've taken part in clubs, research projects, and important outreach activities.
LANPS has many opportunities for internships and work placements to help enhance your in-class learning. I've been working as McGuelkin College's Peer Mentor Network Coordinator, and it's preparing me for what comes after graduation.
Our faculty is at the forefront of institutional change. This year, I was appointed as Special Advisor on LANPS's anti-Black racism strategy, so we can begin meaningful and hard conversations about equity and anti-Black racism in our communities.
As a proud York graduate, I credit my professors and peers for an excellent education. I gained a sense of self and a lifelong love of learning.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Liberal Arts and Professional Studies program chat. Today, we're talking about one of our most interesting programs, which is the program in French Studies. Before we talk about the program, I do want to take a moment to talk about the land that York University is on. This meeting is virtual, and because of that, we are not all actually gathered in the same space. York's land acknowledgement might not represent the territory you are currently on, and I would ask that if this is the case, that you each take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory that you are on and its current treaty holders. As a member of the York University community, I recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Takaranto has been taken care of by the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the Métis. It is now home to many Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the Great Lakes region. Now I'd like to introduce a very special guest we have with us this afternoon, one of the professors from our faculty and the chair of our French Studies Department, Professor Lambert Dresch.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Department of French Studies. Bienvenue. My name is Marilyn Lambert-Dresch, and I'm the chair of the Department of French Studies in the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies. I'm pleased to introduce to you my colleague, Professor Luc Arnasson, who is our undergraduate program director, and we work very closely together at the Department of French Studies.
So maybe I'll say hello. As Marilyn has said, I'm the undergraduate program director, but I'm also the resident, I hesitate to call myself an expert, but the resident expert on the first year experience, which also has an impact on why I'm here to welcome you today. So I also teach and coordinate multiple sections of French 1080, which is sort of the foundational course, which all students who are in our program will end up taking, will be exposed to, and which is designed to sort of prepare you for the whole rest of the program. So that's why I've tagged along today.
Yes, and I forgot to add that I'm a professor of French linguistics. So let's talk about studying French with us. First, thank you very much for your interest in French studies, and congratulations for making the decision to study one of Canada's official languages. When like Luc and myself are Francophones, I was born speaking French. Luc was not born speaking French, but we are all members of a very wide community of Francophone speakers. In fact, there are almost 300 million speakers, Francophone speakers in the world, which is quite amazing. French is the 5th most spoken language in the world. It is the official language of 29 countries and the non-official language of many more. And really, French is spoken even at our doorstep in Toronto. There are many Francophones in Toronto, many Francophone organizations in Toronto. We'll talk about that. And let's not forget that French is not only a language of literature and culture. You know, everyone thinks Le Louvre and Victor Hugo and so on. It is also a very major global language of global business. You may be interested in knowing why our students love us so much. Well, we're going to tell you why. The first thing they really like about our program is that we offer a very interdisciplinary, that our curriculum is very interdisciplinary. We have courses in language, courses in linguistics, courses in literature, and all students have to take those courses. So in a way, we provide a very holistic perspective on the language and the culture. Our students also enjoy the fact that we have very relatively small classes with a maximum enrollment of 30 to 35 students. So this is quite remarkable, you know, a large university like York. We also offer a lot of student support. For example, the PASS program, study sessions organized by student leaders for students. It's an academic element, but it's led by students. We have clubs, we have organized guided cultural activities and non-guided cultural activities as well. So basically, we offer a lot of opportunities to experience French on and off campus, and we'll get into that a bit later. Oh, of course, we understand that students are studying French to do something with French, right? So, and doing something with French means to use it in a professional setting. So our courses, and some of our courses specifically designed to prepare you to use French in a professional setting, and students really like that. And finally, what is not specific to our department, but more specific to York, is that you can, you know, the students may decide to kind of what I call organize their degree the way they want. They could study French as a major and have a minor in another program, have a French studies as a major, have a double major, so have a major in another program. So we have many students who do psychology, French studies, sociology, French studies, law and society, French studies, anthropology, French studies, and so on, and business as well, I forgot, and business and French studies. So this is really what our students love about our program, and also about York to an extent, right?
So why don't I give you a bit more of an overview of the program itself and the organization of our department. When we talk about French studies actually englobes a number of different discipline areas. So the obvious one would be language, and that's what you can see in that central green box. And obviously a lot of people studying in the French department want to get better at French, want to improve their language, want to gain a perfect fluency that they can then use for professional purposes or academic purposes, as Marie has mentioned. But there are other sort of academic disciplines associated with French. One of those is linguistics, which, as Marie mentioned, is her area. And so we offer, starting from second year, a whole range of linguistics courses. We offer a foundation in linguistics, and then that permits students to discover the various other areas that make up the field of linguistics. And then we have a similar path for literature, which was my area before becoming the first year experience guy. In literature, similarly, sometimes there's organization of different literature courses by period, or sometimes by theme and genre. So we offer courses, for example, in literature and film. We have things on, literature for younger audiences. And importantly, we have not only literature of France, although we have plenty of that, but we also have Canadian literature in French, and we have Francophone literature more widely, which would then mean literature coming out of the various countries that Marilyn alluded to, in which French is either an official language or a major language. But that branching out really begins from second year. In first year, there's kind of a common course that will help prepare you for all of these different options and for the diversity of French studies. And that's the course called French 1080, which is called French Language and Culture. So as its title implies, it has both a language component and a cultural component. The best way to understand French 1080 is as a preliminary course that is designed to help you succeed in the French Studies program. And that means helping you to develop a number of different competencies. It will help you improve your writing, and particularly to proofread. So I'm sure you've been told to proofread many times, but you may not have been told exactly how to go about it, and what the steps are, and what exactly to look out for. So these are things that you learn in French 1080. There's also a lot of help with writing. There are extra sessions to engage in collective reading that happens in class, sort of group reading activities that happens in class sometimes. There are extra resources where you can do that under the guidance of a peer mentor or a graduate student. And we also, of course, take time in class to figure out how to decipher a reading, starting the shorter ones in French 1080 before we have you reading novels in the upper level literature courses. And most importantly, we want to build your autonomy and make you able to practice on your own and continue to develop French through all of your interactions, whether it's club meetings that you go to, whether it's sort of talks or workshops organized by your professors, whether it's French television, media, or movies that you're looking at in your spare time. We try to develop in French 1080 the skills that will help you become sort of autonomous learners. And again, alluding to something that Marie mentioned earlier, as you might be able to hear, English is my first language. So like many students, I learned French as a foreign language. And I can say from personal experience that autonomy and developing that reflex to make every interaction you have in French a learning experience that you grow from and that you build upon is really, really essential to getting to the stage where you can then work or teach in French. So that's how we've tried to design the course in order to give you a bit of support in developing that and doing so. So we have a number of ways outside the classroom that we help you to do that. Part of it is through the extra sessions that I mentioned, like for reading. Marilyn has also mentioned the PASS program. PASS stands for Peer Assisted Study Sessions. And these are sort of optional extra study sessions that are led by now advanced year students, so generally 4th or 5th year students, who have previously taken French 1080. So they'll have been in the shoes that you will currently be occupying, and they can help you from experience. They're familiar with the content, and they also have some perspective because they've come out of the course, they've seen how they've used the skills and the knowledge that they will have gained in French 1080 in order to use it in their studies. So that's a major support. And then we have various on and off-campus activities that we encourage you to attend. Some of these are built into assignments in 1080. So there are, for example, talks given by professors in the department that you have to go to and that you have to write an assignment on as part of 1080. There's a cultural outing that is also part of 1080. So we not only want to encourage you to sort of get your feet wet and make that jump out of your comfort zone into really participating in the local Francophone community, but we really sort of work it right into the course so that you'll so that you're not only incentivized but really led by an expert guided hand into doing that, which we hope will make you feel much more confident, as we said, and comfortable about continuing your studies. So that's sort of the foundational network that then lets you spread out. And that's our program at a glance.
And of course, you may wonder, okay, what does it mean to experience Francophone culture in my studies, in French studies? Well, it is very interesting because what most students wonder is, okay, so how can I do this in an Anglophone environment. So we're in Toronto, and okay, so where do I learn French? Well, the first thing, your courses. Of course, you go to your courses, and the course learning outcomes are designed to teach you something, which is, the language and the culture. So that's really important. And also, you can take courses, as I will explain a bit later, on campus at the university, but you can also take courses outside of campus. Like, for example, the Explore program is in Quebec, and it is a summer program, so you can take those courses. They are not part of our program, that you will get credits if you complete the Explore program. And you can also, as the purple circle shows, that you can also take courses abroad. That's for the very adventurous ones who want to study abroad 1 semester or 2 semesters and take courses at a French university, for example. We have many agreements. So, okay, so we start with the courses because that's where we want to see you in your courses. But then we have, as Luc described, all the supports that are built around those courses. So the PASS program, the clubs have a fantastic association of Francophone and Francophile students at York. So many are our own students, but there are also students who are coming from other programs who are not in our program, are not studying French studies, but are passionate about the language and the culture. And we get to see those students a lot since we regularly meet with them. And as I said before, while you may be surprised, Toronto is a really is a city that offers a lot of activities, events in French. There is a French film festival every year, the Ciné Franco. There is a French theater, the Théâtre Français de Toronto, and a range of, there's a Centre Francophone and so on. Many, many, many activities take place in French in Toronto. And as Luc said, well, we try to not only encourage our students to participate, we make them aware of events when those events occur, but sometimes it's also included or part integrated in the course. Right. So, for example, if there is a specific exhibit that is relevant to French studies, we would take our students to the museums and just have an interesting extra co-curricular activity. And again, you learn French to hopefully do something with it, right? Many of our students are interested in doing an internship in French, either in Toronto or outside of Toronto. The university offers global internships, a global internship program through York International. But students can also find their own internships and in French, and we will help the students, of course, complete all the documents and do whatever is needed to complete that internship. That's also very helps you gain a professional experience, of course, and that we want that, of course. And Luc is going to show in a second that there are many other opportunities to gain professional experience on campus and off campus in French.
Yes, why don't I elaborate on that a little bit? So there are both on-campus and off-campus opportunities to gain work experience and to put your French to use. Maybe we'll begin with the on-campus ones. The most obvious example is that you could become a work-study student in our very own department. We have work study students each year who help our administrative staff. And so that's a very, very good way, not only to really use French in a professional context, both orally and written, and in written French, because of course there'll be email correspondence involved. There will also be, meetings and day-to-day interactions in a French professional setting. But of course, it's also a very good way to really understand the inner workings of the university and the department, which is also something that I always think is very useful for students. If you knew half of what went on in the university, you'd be surprised. And there's a lot that can be learned and discovered there, and that in itself can be an asset for your studies. I talked about the past leaders. You could become a past leader too. Why not? If you do well in 1080, if you enjoy yourself in your studies in the French department, you could share your wisdom with students who need it, and you too could become a past leader. We currently have 2 past leaders associated with 1080, so there's a number of positions available there, and there are volunteer opportunities on campus. So, for example, there are orientation activities that are organized, and we sometimes need people who can represent the French department and show off how well their French has developed since they've become students there. So these are the sorts of on-campus volunteer activities that are a possibility and that become open to you if you study with us. There are, of course, off-campus ones as well. So through exposure to the various cultural organizations that exist in the GTA, you could volunteer for them and you can gain volunteer experience with them. So Marilyn has mentioned organizations like Ciné Franco, which is the Francophone Film Festival. So there are many organizations like that you can become involved with. There are local and global internships that Marilyn has alluded to. There are French language assistant positions in schools. So this is a federal government program called Odyssée, that allows you to become directly involved as an assistant in a school. And so that is a wonderful sort of immersion experience. And if you're interested in pursuing a career in education, as many of our students are, and we'll talk about the pathways of our students in just a second, then that can be a really, really excellent experience that can help you build your CV and your linguistic abilities and complement your education all in one. And of course, that program is for Canada, but it is also possible to do this abroad. So you could become an assistant in a school or even in a university in France. So all of those are exciting possibilities that you can explore. Should we talk then more specifically about the sort of student pathways and particular sort of directions that our students can go in, Maylene?
Yeah, I'd like to add something that is really important, is that work study positions are paid. So it's quite nice to be able not only to work in a French-speaking environment, but also getting a bit of money for it. So why not? And with regard to the PASS program, Luc mentioned the course 1080, which has 2 past leaders, but the introduction to linguistics also has 1 past leader. And these are students who have taken the course, have done very well in the course, and receive the opportunity to be a past leader, which is also, I believe, paid. So that's quite nice. So, and of course, because we, I don't know if you've noticed, but Luc and myself are wearing our very beautiful sweatshirts. We are very proud members of this department, and we are very proud of our students. And this is the time of the year when I get to enjoy my students even more, because here are the students who are about to graduate, and that makes me really very proud. And they ask me for letters of recommendation, letters of reference. And so I kind of, I'm able, and I think it's the same with Luc, we're able to see where students go. And we know where they are, we know where they have been in the last few years, but we now know where they are going. And as I said, we have many students who, let's say, combine French studies and sociology and law and societies and psychology, kinesiology even, and business. And so where do those students go? Many of our students favor a career in education. So want to go to the Faculty of Education, I have one who wants to do an MA in teaching and learning. So that's really quite a significant percentage of our students. But we also have students who, like Mathieu, has decided to do a major in law and society and a minor in French studies.
And I've written lots of reference letters for students going into law.
Yes, and is going into law. And so his goal is, of course, to work, not of course, because there could be other goals, but Mathieu's goal is to work for the federal government, because, of course, if you have to speak French if you want to work for the federal government. So you cannot be unilingual. And with a profile like this, you could also work for an NGO. You could, work for an international organization, which, that may have a legal counsel office. So you can do a lot of things. So where Sophie has chosen to do a degree in education. And Sophie, for here you see, has done a double major in French studies and history, and is probably, will probably decide to teach, French and history, of course. So a career in education is very interesting. We do have students who have decided, and of course, a few of our students decide to do graduate studies. I mentioned the MA in teaching and learning, but that could be an MA in French studies. Right, let's not forget that we do have a graduate program in French studies at Glendon. I've had students who want to, because they've been so interested in linguistics, and they've studied phonetics and sociology and so on, but especially the ones who were interested and very passionate about phonetics have chosen to do pursue a career in speech pathology or speech therapy, which is, of course, and they could do this in French and in English, right? So which is important. Of course, we've had students who decided to do career in tourism, hospitality. International development is actually, there's a program in our faculty called International Development Studies, and we do have students who do IDS and French studies, and with the goal of working for international NGOs, which is quite an interesting career. And finally, business. International business. Many students who study either in the business and society program or study in the faculty, the business school at York, take French courses with us, and because they are thinking of working for an international organization or corporation in France or in French-speaking Africa. Let's not forget that there is a whole continent out there that speaks French. So really, where will French studies take you? Well, French studies will take you to really exciting careers. That's what I can say.
And we're always happy to discuss your interests while you're studying with us so that we can help you find what path you'd like to embark on as well.
Yes, and I wanted to add something really, when we, of course, we're not a very large department, and so we're very close to our students, but our department is going to be renovated in next spring. And we will have 2 beautiful student lounges in the department. So it will be a wonderful space for students to visit and study, and also for students to gather. So we'll have, as you know, Luc said, well, if you have questions, well, we'll be there, and we could sit in the student lounge and talk about your career. We're interested in that.
Mm-hmm. On sera dans les parages, as they say.
Oui, on sera là pour vous. OK, alors maintenant, quelques petits mots en français quand même. Alors, merci. Merci de votre intérêt et au plaisir de vous revoir, soit bien sûr à Toronto, chez nous, dans notre département, ou à Paris, pourquoi pas. So, thank you very much and hope to see you around very, very soon.
Merci beaucoup. On a hâte de vous rencontrer et on espère vous recevoir nombreux dans notre programme et on est très heureux d'apprendre à vous connaître et de vous accueillir. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
What an absolutely fantastic overview of our French Studies program. I want to thank you both so much for joining us to talk a little bit about French Studies here in the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies. And I want to thank those of you at home who've watched this presentation, and hopefully you've been encouraged to look at French Studies as your major or even a second major while you're here at the university. If you have any general questions, you can reach out to the department, but you can also reach out to us at the faculty. You can email us at goyork@yorku.ca. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at YorkULAPS. Don't forget, applications are now open, so hopefully we'll see you soon. From all of us here at the university to all of you watching, thank you, be well, be safe, and we'll see you in September. Bye-bye.